In 2024, Cory LaJoie has been the most reckless driver in NASCAR. Because of this, he was informed that he would be let go by his team at the end of this year. With fans and media having a complete 180 on the way they view him, formerly being known as one of NASCAR's best underdogs, and a driver who was just one big break away from major success, to a laughingstock in the NASCAR world. So how did one of NASCAR's fan favorite underdogs ruin his reputation and become one of NASCAR's biggest wrecking balls? Well, to figure that out, let's go back to the beginning. The location: Bowman Gray, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The date: June 2nd, 2012. The focus: Cory LaJoie, son of two-time Xfinity champion Randy LaJoie. This race would be LaJoie's breakthrough as a top prospect in the lower ranks of NASCAR, leading 118 laps with 153 and beating future NASCAR champions Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Brett Moffitt, and Daniel Suarez. It was the first of 5 victories in the 2012 K&N Series season, eventually landing him second in points, just 15 behind champion Kyle Larson. The following year, at 21 years old, LaJoie would make his NASCAR debut in the NASCAR Nationwide Series and the final race of the season driving for Richard Petty Motorsports, wrecking early in the event while running 21st, dropping him to a 34th place result. Back in the Nationwide Series in 2014, driving the number 98 in 5 races for a team, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, LaJoie would show a glimpse of his future Cup career, crashing out of his final 3 races with the team. However, these lackluster Nationwide Series runs, and a few one-off Truck Series runs which saw him collect his first career NASCAR top 10, would be enough for Ryan Humphrey Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series to sign him for 2 races, driving the unsponsored 77, where he would make his NASCAR Cup Series debut at New Hampshire, finishing 41st. Cory LaJoie would disappear from the sport in 2015, making no starts in NASCAR, before returning in 2016 driving the number 24 for JGL Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series part-time. The first 5 races of his season saw a best finish of 18th, with 2 DNFs, followed by the peak of his Xfinity Series career up to this point, collecting back-to-back top 10s at Bristol and Dover, including a 6th place run at the latter. LaJoie would go right back into form during his final 3 starts with the team, collecting a 23rd place run, followed by 2 DNFs to round out the year. At this point in their career, any normal NASCAR driver would probably be relegated to a backmarker truck or Xfinity ride, or be out of the sport entirely, having multiple poor performing seasons, yet LaJoie was still there. Undoubtedly, it was helped by the fact that LaJoie was the son of a NASCAR champion, but whatever the reasoning for it was, teams kept giving him rides, as it was announced in 2017 that he would go back to the Cup Series, driving the number 83 for BK Racing in 32 of 36 events. Entering his first Daytona 500, driving for an uncharted team, LaJoie would have to make the race through the duels. And while racing Reed Sorensen for the transfer spot with just 11 to go, LaJoie would introduce himself to the Cup Series.
That Daytona Speedway has put in with a safer barrier, much different angle than what Kyle Busch hit that wall with, and that's because of the improvements they've made.
Watch the 83 get a little, did he get a little loose here? Maybe not, he looked for the inside.
Yeah, the 55 fell back a little bit.
LaJoie would try to fit into a hole that wasn't there, and would wind up costing Sorensen a chance to race in the Daytona 500. So what would LaJoie do in the race after junking someone to make it?
To the field.
He just misjudges the speed here. He doesn't get it wound down enough,
hot,
but he tries to avoid Clint Boyer, which Clint's thankful of, but unfortunately it loads over in the left rear and he just can't keep it under control, noses into the outside wall.
That wreck would set the tone for his rookie year, DNFing in 5 races while having an average finish, an average start below 30th. He would have just 3 finishes above 25th, with the best run of 11th at Daytona in the summer. In 2018, LaJoie moved from BK Racing to TriStar Motorsports in a part-time schedule, running 23 races while splitting the 72 with Cole Witt. LaJoie would be outshined by Witt in the 72, however, posting an average finish nearly 5 positions worse, while also DNFing in 7 races compared to Witt's 1. TriStar Motorsports closed its doors following the season, and obviously it was LaJoie securing a full-time ride out of the 2 drivers, while the man who outshined him the entire year never ran in NASCAR again. Woof. Joining his 3rd team in 3 years, this time LaJoie joined Go Fas Racing to drive the number 32 Ford in 2019. For the Daytona 500, Go Fas used LaJoie's face as part of an Old Spice sponsorship, The scheme would last just 20 laps, however, before a blown tire would dismantle the hood. He was still able to bring it home 18th though, after the demolition derby that was the 2019 Daytona 500. LaJoie for the first time in his NASCAR career would have a full-time ride, posting a solid season to go along with it, garnering 2 top 10s at Daytona and Talladega. Go Fas Racing would improve as a team compared to the year prior, with Matt DiBenedetto behind the wheel. Seeing the average start stay steady while the average finish improved, as well as doubling the top 10 total from the year prior. After a solid run on the 32 in 2019, LaJoie would re-sign with Go Fas Racing for 2020 and another go-around with the team. An 8th place run on that year's Daytona 500 would be his lone top 10, but the team would still improve just barely in most categories. Seeing an improvement in average finish, average start, laps led, and lead lap finishes, it was a decent season for LaJoie. But it didn't matter, as on August 21st, 2020 it was announced that another team LaJoie was driving for would be shutting its doors at the end of the year, making him a free agent once again. This would lead him to sign with the team everyone watching this video knows him for.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Preparing the Krabby Patty!
On November 30th, 2020, it was announced that Spire Motorsports would enter the Cup Series as a new team, following the purchase of Levine Family Racing's charter. LaJoie commented, "The next chapter of my racing career provides me with the unique opportunity to play a key role working with a motivated leadership group to build a competitive NASCAR Cup Series team from the ground up. I'm thankful to work directly with Spire Motorsports co-owners Jeff Dickerson and TJ Puttrey, and all of our partners as we build on the proud and competitive tradition associated with the number 7, as we expect to be a force in the garage for years to come." Driving the flagship 7 for Spire's first year, the team would collect 9 top 20s, as well as a top 10 in the Daytona 500, en route to a 29th place points finish. With LaJoie setting new career highs in average start, average finish, and lead lap finishes, but just slightly on all of them. Most of what was learned in 2021 would be thrown out the window, as in 2022 NASCAR debuted its highly anticipated next-gen car, with the goal of adding parity back into NASCAR. The new car would take just 5 races to help the Spire team, with LaJoie finishing 5th in the spring Atlanta race after the new configuration. LaJoie would struggle with the new car throughout the year, DNFing 8 times mainly due to crashes.
Via Toyota dominance and
Turn 2,
Gibbs
got one around and in the wall. Cory LaJoie. Chase Briscoe, who is currently into the next round, and a big hit there for Suarez.
I think that is a retaliation from the 7 of LaJoie. It seemed like the 99 and the 7 made contact getting into the final chicane, sent the 7 backwards. And that right there, we're on board with the 99, but looking at the nose of the 7, I think there's some damage right here. Let's go back to the first incident. This is coming down into the front stretch chicane.
Cory's trying to get around the 99 here. They make contact. That spins Cory over here. I thought for sure this was a caution, NASCAR, but the 7 gets going.
Right side of your screen, hard impact with the wall on corner exit. That fractures the wheel. The tire takes off. And I believe that was Cody Ware that center punched what was left of that wheel. Here's a different look.
Yeah, it almost looks square, but it was the...
Midway through 2022 when the series returned to Atlanta, Cory LaJoie would be presented with an opportunity to win a NASCAR race, going up against the most popular driver in Chase Elliott. On the white flag entering turn 1, LaJoie would look to the outside, and had he not been blocked, LaJoie takes the preferred lane up top and probably wins the race. However, Elliott would choose to block him.
LaJoie loose behind the 9. Now he goes to the high side. All the way up into the wall goes LaJoie. He's going to spin around. He'll collapse the field. Caution will come out, and it looks as though the 9 of Chase Elliott is going to be scored the winner.
Wrapping up the season, the team would drop from 29th to 31st in the standings, while improving his average finish from the year prior, once again just barely. 2023 is up to this point LaJoie's best season in the Cup Series, but it also includes the worst moment for his career. Going through the opening quarter of the season, LaJoie had stayed much more consistent than ever before, posting just 3 finishes outside of the top 25 entering the 15th race of the year at Gateway. Just 1 week prior at the Coca-Cola 600, Chase Elliott would right rear the number 11 of Denny Hamlin. Nascar, who would set the standard last fall as to how they would handle wrecks like this, were left with no other choice but to suspend the most popular driver in the sport. In need of a substitute, Rick Hendrick would turn to none other than Cory LaJoie to pilot the number 9 Napa Chevy in Gateway. The weekend would end up being a complete disaster for Cory LaJoie. Qualifying in 30th behind the car that he runs in every week, which was being piloted by Carson Hocevar making a series debut, LaJoie would spend the entire afternoon outside of the top 20, and behind the car he usually runs, until a crash would relegate Hocevar to last. Once the race was concluded, LaJoie brought the 9 car to a 21st place finish, an absolutely embarrassing run for him. However, even after this run, midway through the season it was announced that LaJoie had signed a multi-year deal to return to Spire. The co-owner of Spire would comment, "Cory LaJoie took a chance on Spire Motorsports before we had any tools, any cars, or even a race shop. He is part of the fabric of this race team, so it's hard to put into words what his commitment means to TJ and I. He made a very thoughtful and deliberate decision to return to Spire Motorsports. He had plenty of other opportunities and chose to stay the course. We're excited that Cory will continue to anchor this team, and we're ready to keep making meaningful progress every time we unload." Rounding up the 2023 season, LaJoie would have a few more run-ins with drivers, yet when the year ended he miraculously had 0 DNFs through the entire 36-race season, posting just a 15th DNF-free season in history. 2023 saw career best in any category you could think of: top 5s, top 10s, average start, average finish, lead lap finishes, and points finish. It was another step in the right direction for Spire and LaJoie. However, it only took 1 season to undo all this work. 2024 would be a big year for Spire Motorsports, adding 2 top prospects in Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith to the Cup Series program, as well as a 3rd car. The year started off on a high note for LaJoie in the 7, to the dismay of others, turning Austin Cindric up into Ross Chastain right when the field took the white for the Daytona 500 to bring a yellow out and end the race prematurely. The caution would freeze the field, leading to a 4th place run for LaJoie. A wreck a few weeks after at Las Vegas would force him into a 32nd place finish, and he would repeat the same story the following week at Phoenix, this time with a 33rd place run. The following 5 races LaJoie finished outside of the top 20 all 5 times, and after the 10th race at Talladega, LaJoie was back in the highlight reel for the wrong reasons.
Over. Oh, the block, and around goes the 34. And Reddick steals one.
That was almost exactly how Brad won this race, his first race. Huge wreck here, guys.
Another sub-20th place run at Dover the next week left him 30th in the standings, 10 entire positions behind rookie teammate Carson Hocevar. LaJoie drove through Jimmy Johnson to wreck both of them at Kansas, and self-spun his car at the Coca-Cola 600, rounding out the 9th and 35th when the rain fell. 2 more wrecks at Iowa and New Hampshire left the team with 2 top 20s at non-drafting tracks through the first half of the year, while his teammate Carson Hocevar, a rookie, had 2 top 10s in this time frame. Keep in mind that LaJoie had yet to earn a top 10 outside of a non-drafting track in the Cup Series at this time. Cory LaJoie would continue his self-destruction a few weeks later in Pocono. On a lap 121 restart, racing for God knows where in the 20s, Kyle Busch would run Cory LaJoie all the way down the track to try and block. After making slight contact, the slightest bit of contact, LaJoie then decided to hook right back into the line and clean out the 8 car in front of the field entering turn 1. LaJoie would comment on the incident. "No, you've got to take the run. You know I don't want to. I'm not the guy that wants to wreck anybody, but I think if Kyle only blocks once, then we both go around the corner and live to fight another day. But that second block that he thought he had it covered, and he didn't, was what did him in and a couple of other guys in. But man, it is really hard. It's so freaking hard to run 19th. I mean, it's all I got. Tongue hanging out so you have to be perfect." 11 days following the dust-up, It was announced that LaJoie had been released from his multi-year deal at Spire, and that him and the team would part ways following the 2024 season. LaJoie stated, "I won't be driving the 7 car next year. I take a lot of pride and satisfaction from having a part of building Spire into a respectable team on the grid, but unfortunately, the future won't involve me." The following week, LaJoie posted a 34th place run at Richmond before the unthinkable happened for a second time.
AI and machine learning. And this is our lab where we're testing more than our cars. We're testing ourselves. Because what we learn here helps push us forward out there. From the track to the street, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
LaJoie, in the span of 14 races, became one of the few drivers in NASCAR history to roll a car twice in a season, adding on to what was already a disaster of a year. The next week at Daytona, Cory LaJoie would turn Noah Gragson down the back straightaway, sparking a big one on just lap 60 of the race, where the field was trying to save fuel. After the worst stretch of his career, LaJoie earned his first career non-superspeedway top 10 in the Cup Series, finishing 9th in the Southern 500. Finishing the regular season 31st in points, it was time to affect some playoff drivers for LaJoie, and it would only take till race 2 for him to accomplish just that. On lap 1 going through the bus stop at Watkins Glen, LaJoie would hit a curb and wipe out Kyle Busch, causing a pileup that ruined both Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin's day. But following the lap 1 incident, the 7 team would post a clean performance and collect their second top 10 in 3 races, with a solid 8th place run. Cory LaJoie is a driver who got to where he is thanks to his last name. Although he's shown glimpses of talent, he has no business in being in a ride over any other drivers in NASCAR with 0 wins to their name as well. With that being said, what does the future hold for Cory LaJoie? Well, not many top NASCAR teams are in the market for a reckless 32-year-old with middling results. As of now, the rumor is Cory LaJoie and Justin Haley will end up swapping rides, with LaJoie going to Rick Ware and Haley going to Spire. So, I guess good for LaJoie that he sneaks into another ride. Anyways, like and subscribe if you enjoy.